This is a IOD summer release collaboration, and I'm showcasing 3 DIYs that I used IOD transfers on. Well, hello my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if you are new, welcome to you as well. This is Christine with Divine Design, formerly DIY Craftaholic. Let's get into the video. So earlier this year I had gone into Lowe's and I saw in the scrap pile a huge sheet of hard ply, and I had them cut it down into different pieces. I think I got maybe 10 pieces. So I'm using a piece to make an outdoor porch leaner. It was already painted, and thankfully I did not have to paint it. I was so glad. So these plastic stencil, I got that in a set from Amazon. I linked that in my Amazon store. So I just selected the letters HOME and just laid them down on the board as to how I want them set out. Now here is my IOD pack that I purchased from their summer release, and they sent me a little goodies. I've used the sample pieces in a previous video earlier, so I'll link that one at the top. You can check that out. So I'm just going through and showing you the sample pieces that they sent me, and the little love note and a little card, you know, just expressing their appreciation. I got mine from my Victorian Heart, and this is the pad. It's the Elysium Transfer Set. That's the name of this pad. So I'm just going through the booklet and I'm selecting the one that I wanted to use on my home sign. And this booklet has 4 large sheets. Now this is also another stencil. I got this one from Temu, and I'm only going to be using that top section that says welcome and the part that says to or. So I laid that down, and I'm just measuring again, make sure that the letters are evenly placed. And for the welcome, I placed that at the top, and I'm just gonna lay that down to see. Slanted it a little bit. I didn't want it going straight across, so I kind of slanted the welcome and taped that down. And I'm using some black Waverly chalk paint with a sponge, and I'm just lightly dabbing. I did not put any Mod Podge on this stencil, partly because I did not remember, and secondly because I'm just barely using a small amount of the paint by just dabbing it, and I'm carefully dabbing that on. Now where the O is, I think it's dog's paw. I don't want that, so I left that part out. And once I got the paint on, I lifted off the stencil and used the heat gun to just dry that, and then I covered it with a piece of paper towel. And now I'm laying out where I want the to or to be. Place that down and taped it, and then went again with the sponge and the black paint and dabbed that on. And this is what it looks like. Love it. Now for the other section, the HOME, I'm doing the same process, just using, this time I'm using a sponge dabber, and I'm using the paint, just gently dabbing and dabbing and dabbing. You don't want to have too much on your sponge brush or your sponge dabber because you're gonna have bleeding. And I just continued on dabbing and then drying until I was done. Now once that was done, here I am lifting it. One section of the M, for some reason I forgot to dab that in, and there were some little spots that got a little bleeding, but that's an easy fix. So I'm just going in with the Waverly chalk paint in ivory and fixing that. And that little section that did not get any black paint, I used the paint pen to just touch that out. And where the letters connected on the stencil, I just went over that with paint pen and just painted those areas in. Now for my O, I'm using my pencil and just kind of sketching that in before I started to paint with the black paint pen. And if you have a stencil with an O on it that's the same size, you can definitely do that. If you don't think that you have a good penmanship to give you an O that will look cohesive with your word, welcome. So next I took the transfer pad and I selected the sheet that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to use this one. And I'm just laying it down at the top, right above the welcome, to see how I wanted to place that on. And once I decided how I wanted that to go on, I just cut out the section that I'm going to be using. I'm going to place a piece at the top and a piece at the bottom of this sign. Now about the collaboration, this is a collaboration that was initiated by CJ from CJ DIYs, and she pulled together some of us who were interested in using the new IOD summer release. And so when that IOD release date came, we purchased what we wanted to get from their website or from the merchandisers, because they don't really have a website. So I purchased mine and the other ladies purchased theirs from their favorite merchandiser. And then we decided on the date, and CJ, created the graphic for this. And I'm excited to see what the other ladies have created with their new IOD transfers or stamps or molds, because yes, there are stamps and molds that they purchased. And I am loving these transfers. The flowers are just beautiful. And once you rub that on, you just use the same carrier sheet and just burnish that. Yes, and not even that little piece that was hanging over is going to be wasted. Now once I rubbed that on at the top, here I'm going again with the piece that was remaining, and I'm placing that at the bottom. And these transfers go on so easily. You don't need a lot of pressure to get this on, but you want to make sure that you are rubbing the area with your transfer tool. And if there's a section that is not rubbed on properly, you just lay that back down and rub again, and then use your carrier sheet to just burnish that. And of course, I don't waste anything, not wasting my transfers. There's a little space that was remaining and I still had a little piece left, so I just cut that up in separate pieces and rub those on. If you are new to my channel or coming over from the playlist, welcome. I'm so happy you joined me today. Here on my channel, I do DIYs on a budget, look for less, and thrift flips. If you love budget-friendly DIYs like these and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit that notification bell. Hit it again and select all so YouTube notifies you whenever I upload new videos. And that is done. Now this is basically finished, but I need to apply some sealant. I'm going in with some white wax. You can use your Mod Podge. I don't know why I decided to use a white wax at this point, but I used it. And there, a little of it got on my black. And when the white wax goes on the black, it doesn't rub out completely. So I decided to change to one of these multi-surface Mod Podge from Collab. And I'm using the matte sealant. And this is multi-surface, multi-purpose. It's indoor and outdoor. This thing is perfect. I love using it. I tend to gravitate towards it quite a few times more than I used to for the matte one. Now for the inside of the letters, the black section, I used the regular Mod Podge for that area. And this is what it looks like, guys. Love it. Let me know what you think. Now, as I mentioned previously, this is the IOD Summer Release collaboration, and this was organized by C from CJ DIYs. We have Jackie from Jackie Burns Creation, Tammy from Happiness Created, Marla from The Chic Show, myself. We have Indie Annie Jones, Annie. We have Buffy from Buffy Designs and Sun from Sun Arts. Link to their channels will be in the description box below. Make sure to check out each channel and show them some love. There will also be a giveaway, so you want to make sure that you comment on each video. For this one, this is a thrift flip. I thrifted this cutting board from one of the Goodwill bins, and I gave it a good scrub with some Dawn Power Wash dish soap. And then after it dried, this cutting board was well used. It had some scuff marks on there from where the knives would hit it. And I guess that's why it's time to discard it whenever you have your wood cutting board and you see those little wood chips start coming up. It's time to get rid of it because that can get into your food and you don't want that. And then I took the sanding block and I sanded it down, and now it's ready. This is one of those wood crate or wood box from the Dollar Tree. And here I'm just removing the sticker from the box. I also sanded this down. I like to sand down the edges of my wood pieces because that not only gives it a clean finish, but it also removes the chances of you getting bruise from those sharp edges. And I'm going to paint this, but I need to secure that little space where the paint, or not the paint, where the glue is going. So I use a piece of tape to just cover that area, both on the wood box as well as on the cutting board. And here I go again with the transfer pack, and I selected the one that I'm going to use, and now I'm ready to paint my board. For the wood, for the crate, I wanted to match the flowers that's on the transfer, and there you see me trying to decide which one of these two paints that I'm going to be using. Now once the cutting board was painted and dried, I took a dried chippy brush and some antique wax, and I'm just going across the surface to give me light distress marks to give it that shiplap look effect, and also to distress it and give it some definition. And I flipped it around and did the same thing. Now this could be reversible if you want, and that's why I painted both sides. I couldn't decide, but then because I'm going to be putting the crate on one part, then there was no point in using the other side as a reversible. But you also want to make sure that your project is finished, so painting the reverse side is also a good idea. Now that's done, it's time to embellish. So I took my transfer again, and I'm deciding now how I want to place this down. And once I decided, I took the scissors and just cut off that section and set that aside. And I'm going to transfer this on just like I did for the home sign. You want to also make sure that you're lining it up. Now a piece of the flowers was hidden in that little space, that little groove that cut out. So I had to flip it over and cut out that inside section. So let me pause here a moment and just tell you thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate all your love and support, your likes, your comments, or your subscribing. Yes, I do enjoy your subscribing. And of course your views. Any interaction on the videos does signal to the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy the content, and that helps them to recommend the video to other viewers like yourself. And those little pieces that are coming off on that extra piece that I cut out, have no fear, that's not going to be wasted. So I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm not moving it around too much. I'm keeping the same formation, make sure that the edges are all lined up properly. And once I had that in place, it's time to start transferring. Now you don't want to remove your carrier sheet all the way, because once your transfer gets to any surface, it's going to start peeling off, and you want to protect that until you get to the area that you need to lay it down. So I just use the scissors, remove a small section, and then once I know I had it down properly, I then remove the rest of it and then start transferring from the top down. And then remove the little tape that I had put down to cover my spot where the glue is going to go. I just lifted that, and a little piece of the transfer was hanging over on that spot. That's okay, that's no big issue. And then as usual, once you transfer everything, you use this carrier sheet and burnish that. And that part is done. Now it's time to lay down the box. You want to make sure that you're putting it down evenly. You have space, the same space on either side. And there I'm just transferring that little piece of flowers that came off while I cut that piece out. Ain't wasting anything here. All right, so now it's time to glue down the box. I'm going to use a little hot glue as well as a lot of wood glue. That home sign came from a Dollar Tree sticker pack, and I'm going to use some of this ribbon I got from BB Craft and that lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just put a little ribbon formation here. I was trying to think whether or not I should do a messy bow, but a messy bow would have been too much. So I'm just gonna do a little medallion ribbon kind of thing, if that's what they call it. That's what I'm calling it. Guys, if this is your first time to my channel, I thank you so much for stopping by. If you're coming over from any of the other channels, welcome. I'm so happy you decided to drop in and enjoy crafting with me today. I would love if you would consider joining my Divine Designs. I have to get used to the name. I've been calling myself DIY Craftaholic for a long time, and now I'm no longer desiring to use that name. I had that name for a few years now, so why not use my name that I have? It's an official business name, a registered business name, and I was using something else, so I decided to just bring everything under one umbrella. So there's that. So once I had got my ribbon made and glued that, now it's time to glue on the box. But I decided that it needed a little distressing, so I took the finger sponge and some antique wax, and I'm just going around the edge and then just distressing the surface. And now it's time to glue on the box. You can definitely use just the wood glue here and leave it to set. I wanted to be done with this, so I used a little hot glue as well and glue that on. And then this sticker came from a Dollar Tree pack. I removed the puffy sticker part. I wanted this to lay flat, so I just glued that down with a little hot glue. And as you saw, I did apply some Mod Podge to seal the transfer on the surface. I was looking for a little button to put on top of that, didn't find one, and I thought that a butterfly would be quite suitable on here. And this is what it looks like, guys. I love it. Let me know what you think. Now we're moving on to DIY number 3. This is a decoupage paper I got from Dixie Belle. They sent this to me as a little present or gift or thank you, and I truly appreciate that. I got this little wood plank from Michael's for 69 cents, and I painted it with Waverly Mineral. And this silicone mold thing, I got this in a pack from Amazon. I purchased this from last year and I have not used it much. And the air dry clay, I also got that from Amazon. And what you saw me dusted in there was some baking soda. I didn't have cornstarch, so I used what I have, and that was the baking soda. So here I'm just removing a piece of the air dry clay and just pressing that into the mold. So I used the air dry clay, made the mold, and set that aside. Now I didn't give it as long a time to dry because hey, I'm crafting, okay? So here I'm just painting my wood piece with the chalk paint. And then after that dried, now here is the mold. Like I said, it did not set up as long as it should because I want to get moving. So I have to be very careful my finger is not pressing out the design because it's not completely dry. So I just separated the pieces and I'm going to glue that on. But what I realized here, guys, is that this is not the side I wanted it on, right? My intention was to glue on my mold piece and then paint. So when you see me painting, that's not what I wanted to do. So I took them off and flipped it over, and then now I'm going to do what I originally intended to do, which was put the mold down first and then paint. So that's what you see me doing here. And now it's time to select the section of this decoupage paper that I'm going to use. The original idea or design that I had chosen, I changed my mind and I'm going with something else. So I cut off the section that I need, placed it down, and then I'm using this perforating tool to just trace out the section that needs to be cut out. And once I had that done, I'm just cutting that out, fitting it back in the area, and then I'm going to use some Mod Podge to decoupage this on. And when I chose what color paint I wanted to use, I thought about using this paint because it gave the impression that it was one solid piece. So after I decoupaged that on, I just took the same paintbrush and kind of just went over the edge of the paper to just let the color flow. And then that dried, and then went over that again with some Mod Podge. And this is what it looks like. Now, to distress a little bit, I took the finger dabber and a little of the antique wax again, and I'm just going around the edge. And then I thought that the mold on the painting needed to be brought back to life, so I took a baby wipe and just used my finger to go over that and stroke it across the surface of the design. And I am loving how this looks. Love it, love it, love it. And then when everything dried, I took some Mod Podge, went over that again to seal it, and that's about it. No, I thought I was done. Now I took another piece of that lace ribbon, dovetailed the end, and then just glue that in the center. And I had a little half bead, glued that on top, and then I just flipped it over, used a little butcher's twine for the hanger. And this is done, guys. Let me know what you think about this one. And here we are for the final reveal. This is our home sign. I leaned it up right in the corner in my kitchen because it was raining that day. So this is where I had to lean it up to take the final reveal photo shoot. And then when it dried on another day, I took it outside and did a still shot. And here is our little oval piece. I like that the mold is just sitting on top of the wood. I really like how that looks. And here is our cutting board planter thingamajig. I love the colors on this one as well. Now guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. This is the IOD collaboration. Make sure to check out the other crafters on this playlist. And if you are coming over from any of their channels, thank you so much for stopping by. I truly enjoyed hanging out with you. Let me know which one of these was your favorite. And these are the smaller transfers that I used last week. I did say I would link that video for you to check that out. But do stop by the other channels. If you love budget-friendly content like this, do watch this one here or this playlist. And remember, Jesus loves you and so do I. And stay safe, my friends, until next time. Bye.